So a month ago, you saw me unboxing the S24 Ultra. Now, 1 month later, let's see what I have to say about the 2024 Samsung flagship device. So let's start with a little bit of a recap. This is the S24 Ultra and it was released on the 17th of Jan 2024. In terms of its specs, it has a 6.8-inch display, which is a dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2X display with 120Hz HDR10+ and 2600 nits peak brightness. The resolution 1440 by 3120 pixels. In terms of its build, it is 162 by 79 by 8.6 millimeters. It has a glass front, which is cornering Gorilla armor, and it has a glass back, which is also cornering Gorilla armor. The frame is a titanium frame, and the entire phone is IP68 dust and water resistant up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. The weight of the phone, it is a little bit of a chunky boy, 233 grams. In terms of its operating system, it's currently running Android 14 One UI 6.1, and this is going to receive 7 years worth of upgrades. In terms of the processor, it's the Qualcomm SM8650, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 4nm processor. In terms of storage, this is available in a 256, 512 as well as 1TB version. Ours is currently the 256 version. Now, when it comes to the memory, every version of this phone is running 12 gigs of RAM built into the device. In terms of its network and connectivity, this is a 5G smartphone. It can either take a combination of either 2 nano SIMs or 2 eSIMs, or a combination of both. 1 nano SIM, 1 eSIM, or 2 nano SIMs together, that sort of thing. When it comes to Wi-Fi, it is 802.11 ABGN-AC6E, as well as this supports Wi-Fi 7. Bluetooth 5.3 built in. In terms of the ports, it's built in with a USB Type-C 3.2 port. It supports the display or the display port at generation 1.2 as well as OTG. The battery of this device is a lithium-ion 5000 mAh battery. It supports 45-watt wired charging, and it is advertised to charge up to 65% in 30 minutes. It supports 15 watts wireless charging as well as 4.5 watts of reverse wireless charging. Now, when it comes to the main attraction, the cameras. The main camera is a quad camera configuration, with the main camera being a 200 megapixel 24mm wide camera with the aperture of 1/1.3. The second camera is a telephoto 10 megapixel 67mm lens, which has a 3x optical zoom. The third camera is a 50 megapixel 111mm periscope telephoto lens with up to 5x optical zoom. The final camera is a 12 megapixel ultra wide with a 13mm field of view and supports super steady video. It has an LED flash, auto HDR, as well as HDR10+. In terms of video on the main cameras, you can do 8K at 24 and 30 frames per second, 4K at 30, 60 and 120, and 1080 at 30, 60, as well as a slow-mo of 240 frames per second. When it comes to the selfie camera is a 12 megapixel 26mm wide camera. This supports dual video calling, meaning using the main as well as the selfie, auto HDR, as well as HDR10+. You can do video 4K 30 and 60 and 1080 at 30 frames per second. Some of the additional things that come with the phone is the stylus, which is Bluetooth integrated. and the stylus has an accelerometer as well as a gyroscope. It has an under-display ultrasonic fingerprint reader. All right, so now we come to the elephant in the room. That is, who is this phone marketed towards? This is the S24 Ultra, and it's the top of the range, the creme de la creme of smartphones. So now, when it comes down to it, right, the S24 Ultra is the top of the range, and it's marketed towards high-level execs, so people that are always busy and always on the go, that need the top of the level features and functionalities. May not necessarily be the 200 megapixel camera, but they would need the top of the top performance from the CPU, from the RAM, all of those things, and they don't want any bit of the phone to let them down. The second thing is the fact that the smartphone could be targeted towards photographers and content creators and all of those things. The S24 itself is more marketed towards the rest of the market rather than just specifically the S24 Ultra. Now, when it comes down to the price of this phone, the S24 Ultra, the 256 version, retails anywhere between 27,500 Rand and 30,000 Rand. And the 512 gig storage version retails for 35,000 Rand. The one notable thing is that the 1 terabyte version in South Africa is not available for retail just yet. We don't know if Samsung is planning on bringing it in or not. But let's carry on with the review. Now, the S24 was the talk of the town when it came, or when it was released. And what made it the talk of the town was the whole hype around AI. So let's talk about some of the AI features that are built into the S24 range, and more specifically the S24 Ultra. So one of the first features is something we call circle to search. So how circle to search it works is you can take a picture of an item, right? Like how I have here. And then I could utilize that picture and press and hold the home button and circle the object that I would like to search for. And what it's done, it's gone ahead and searched the internet for, or searched Google for this product. The second AI feature that we have to talk about is the language translate, or the live translate is currently limited in the number of language models that are available, but it basically is a live translation between text, either being a text message over WhatsApp, SMS, whatever, or an actual phone call like how it was demonstrated at the S24 launch. The third AI feature that we get to talk about is Note Assist or Chat Assist. So Note Assist works with Samsung Notes, and what it is, if we open up Notes, right, we'll see there's a little icon at the bottom of the Notes, which is almost like stars. That is our AI button. And there's 4 options that we can use with the AI button. Auto formatting, so formatting the text off the notes. Summarize, so it'll take all the notes, summarize it using AI. Correct spelling, so it'll go through all of your notes, correct the spelling and all of those things. So when you're taking notes, you don't have time to actually spell things correctly. And then translate, so you can transcribe your notes from English to whatever language you want. The fourth and final AI feature that I want to talk about is generative edit. So generative edit allows us to edit images within the S24 and basically allows us to change how an image looks. So when it comes down to it, a lot of the time people say, what's the difference between the S23 and the S24 Ultra? Why should I even consider upgrading? So that's why I thought about including that in our review, so we can take a look at the differences between the S23 and S24 Ultra. Firstly, the similarities. So they both are 6.8-inch device in size, and they both have dynamic AMOLED screens. Samsung has been punting the low temperature LPTO screen, but that was also available from the S22. So I wouldn't really call that something that's been brought in with the S24. When it comes now to differences, firstly, the S24 Ultra features dimensions of 1440 by 3120, whereas the S23 Ultra had dimensions of 1440 by 3088. Small difference, but I mean, it's worth noting. The S24 Ultra is also very flatter for starters, and the screen is noticeably less curved than the S23 Ultra. The Ultra handset is made from titanium, the S24, whereas the 23 was different. Now, the next thing we have to mention is the fact that AI comes available with the S24, which isn't necessarily available just yet with the S23. In terms of the cameras now, the company or Samsung has swapped out the 10 megapixel f4.9 periscope telephoto lens for a 50 f4.3 replacement in the S24 Ultra. The S24 Ultra will also shoot 4K video at 120 frames per second, whereas the S23 Ultra could only shoot 60 frames per second. So that was the differences. Whether it's considerable to move up, that's obviously up to you. But let's carry on with the review. What would a review be without some hands-on experience or personal opinions? So unfortunately, I haven't been the lucky person to be using this phone 24/7. This actually belongs to my dad. And what he's told me is that the feel of the phone is just so much more better. And going from using the S21 to the S24 Ultra is chalk and cheese. And I mean, after the first week of just holding this phone, he's gotten so used to the size, the functionality, the everything. He's just gotten so used to it that if he had to change, I don't think he would want to step down. And I guess that was one of the reasons that he decided to upgrade to the S24 Ultra. He said that, hey, you know what, with it 7 years of upgrades and all of those things, it might just be the last phone that he actually upgrades to that's gonna be top of the top before he retires. So, you know what, why doesn't he just get the S24 Ultra, get it, and get the best of the best, I guess. And he's gotten this, and I mean, with me mentioning that he's gonna retire, so you can obviously tell where his age kind of sits. And he's mentioned that, hey, you know what, having a bigger screen is much better, so he doesn't have to put his glasses on or anything like that. So that's also there. But I mean, I've also utilized this phone a lot. We went on a short road trip down the coast, utilized the 200 megapixel camera, and that's where we even did the camera test. So I think all in all, apart from me saying that the market for this phone is the directors and the top end individuals, it's also, once you go Ultra, I don't think you can go back. So that's the other thing. And I think the same thing applies to even flips and folds. Once you go with a flip, and if you're enjoying your experience, why would you ever want to change away from that? Now, coming to the review or to the score of the S24 Ultra. I mean, at the end of the day, a phone is a phone, right? But having all the bells and whistles of a phone like this just puts things into perspective. As much as I am now rocking the S21, I'm happy with it. I mean, the camera is okay, the camera is great. I mean, I can use it for vlogging and all of those things. The functionality is not slow or anything. And I mean, this is now what, a 3-year-old somewhat flagship device. It's not the top of the end flagship, but it is one of the flagship devices. Coming back to this now, the S24 Ultra from us at techsceneza is gonna get a 9.8 out of 10. I think for the innovation that has come in with the smartphone, that's what sets it above the rest. Because a lot of the time people talk about, oh, the camera's the same, it's still the same 200 megapixel camera, it's still the same size, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's the leap that we have now taken. And as I mentioned, with something as simple as circle to search, it improves our lives in a way that we don't actually realize it. It's like the change has come but it's such a subtle change that we don't even realize it. And guys, that has been the 1 month review of the S24 Ultra. With it scoring so high, I think if we have to do a 1 year review, I don't know what I'm gonna have to say about it. It might still be a 9.8, might even go higher, but we'll wait and see that in the time to come. But guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can let me know by giving a like rating if you did. If you want to know anything else about the S24 Ultra, if you want to see us put this up against something like the ZVE10, leave a comment down in the comment section below. And as always guys, my name is Prashant and I'll catch you in the next video.